Nightline begins now with me, Muhammed, Ahmad, Hamdan. The headlines. BN is better accepted by non-Malays, especially Chinese, compared than in GE14. Also, 24 army personnel injured as military truck overturned en route to early voting centre. We begin with this headlining story. With campaigns entering the last lap in the 15th general election GE15, the Barisan Nasionals appeared optimistic of emerging the winner. This is based on feedback from the ground, according to the Prime Minister, that there is marked improvement from the people's acceptance level towards the coalition compared with the 14th general election in 2018. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, in a special televised program on Tuesday night, said there is favourable response from the Chinese community in particular.
Setakat hari ini dari segi mood, kalau saya tengok, saya dah pergi liberal, memang saya sendiri berada di sini sepanjang hari. Saya juga sempat ke Johor, saya sempat ke Alor Gajah, Melaka. Saya lihat dari segi mood, pengundi ini nampak banyak berubah berbanding dengan PRU ke-14. PRU 14 kita boleh kesan daripada awal lagi. Tetapi untuk kali ini keadaannya berbeza. Bukan setakat di kalangan pengundi Melayu, pengundi bandar, tetapi juga di kalangan pengundi-pengundi bukan Melayu, terutamanya kaum Cina. Nampak dari segi penerimaan tu jauh lebih baik daripada PRU ke-14 dulu.
He said that this is a good development because the voters' sentiment and support towards BN has turned favourable. Based on this confidence, the Prime Minister expressed optimism that BN will win on November 19th. With that victory, and as picked by his coalition to lead the government administration as the Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri will respond to calls from various quarters on what they describe as a bloated cabinet. Currently, there are 32 cabinet posts with 38 deputies.
Ramai yang bercakap soal kabinet saya terlalu besar. Saya akui, memang terlalu besar, dan pastinya saya akan mengecilkan kabinet saya. Dan dari segi kepelbagaian kepakaran tu akan saya jadikan sebagai sebahagian daripada panduan saya untuk membentuk kabinet nanti. Bukan saja terdiri daripada ahli politik, tetapi dari segi teknokrat dan sebagainya akan dimasukkan.
Now, the people, including the Chinese community, have not forgotten the instability created during the 22-month rule by Pakatan Harapan. And now the time has come to end that lingering uncertainty.
The post-2018 GE makes everyone to realize that this is the situation we are facing today, the situation of instability of the country. And it will bring everyone to realize that we need to come back to form the country based on stability. So therefore, regardless of any race in the country, we need to bring everyone together, and then it does also include the Chinese as well, to realize that the bigger picture, we need to form our own stability. So it is not a surprise to anyone if Chinese, Indian, or Malays, or any ethnic group in Malaysia will come to their realizations that we need to form our stability for the country.
And for geostrategist Dr. Azmi Hassan, the support from the Chinese and Indian communities towards BN is on an upward trend as the voters have suffered enough for choosing Pakatan Harapan during GE14.
Yes, it is true that, as stated by the Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri, the Chinese voters has been supporting the Barisan Nasional. And we can see that from the Johor state election, where a few seats, DAP stronghold, the Chinese voters, I think, is coming back. towards Barisan Nasional, and also generally, not only the Chinese voters but the voters have confidence in Barisan Nasional because they have went through the 22 months of Pakatan Harapan era, so they can differentiate between Pakatan Harapan administration and also Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri. Even though it's 14 months, I think just enough proof that I think the Barisan Nasional government with Prime Minister Ismail Sabri at the helm is the Prime Minister that the people needed, and this includes the Chinese voters.
All outstanding matters in the Malaysia Agreement 1963, MA63, will be resolved in stages. That's the commitment from the Prime Minister, who is also MA63 Special Committee Chairman.
Setiap bulan kita akan membuat checklist dari segi perkara-perkara yang belum diselesaikan lagi. Jadi sedikit demi sedikitlah kita menyelesaikan, termasuk isu yang saya sebut pasal bayaran untuk hasil minyak melalui Petronas dan sebagainya.
He spoke to the media after a meet and greet program with the people of Libaran at the Gam Gam People's Housing Project in Sabah. The PM added that the special committee has been meeting every month with Sabah Chief Minister Datuk Seri Haji Jinor and Sarawak Premier Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg. On the polls, he said the target is to win 15 parliamentary seats through the cooperation of BN and Gabungan Rakyat Sabah, GRS. Of the 25 seats in Sabah, BN will be contesting 12 seats, while another 13 seats will be contested by GRS. And here's a message to Perikatan Nasional, and it came from the Prime Minister. Give facts and figures to back up claim that Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri's government has failed. The Prime Minister demanded PN leaders to provide proof or face the reality that it was their government that failed to drive the country in a better direction.
Bagaimana mereka boleh kata kita gagal? Dari segi KDNP kita meningkat daripada every quarter. Dari first quarter kita 5% KDNP. Quarter kedua 8.9%. Salah satu yang tertinggi di Asia Tenggara. Yang terbaru third quarter 14.2%, the highest in Southeast Asia. Siapa yang gagal? Kalau kata kita gagal, numbers tak menipu. Numbers very clear kita berjaya. Dari segi dari segi pengangguran, kita kurangkan daripada 5% lebih, now jadi 3.6%. Kalau mengikut unemployment ni, kalau 4% and below dianggap tenaga penuh. So kita every month, setiap bulan pengangguran dapat dikurangkan every month. Tak pernah naik sejak daripada saya mengambil.
And if the figures are testimony of a successful government, why is Perikatan Nasional then saying otherwise?
Because dia orang yang main politik all the time. That's why dia tuduh sana tuduh sini. Kita bekerja untuk kepentingan rakyat. Dari segi FDI meningkat, dari segi trade meningkat, dari segi ada numbers mengenai pemborongan dan peranjitan juga meningkat 20% lebih dari segi jualan dan sebagainya. That shows kita berjaya. Yang tak berjaya mereka dan tak boleh menerima hakikat bahawa kita sudah berjaya.
The PM was speaking to the media after a meet and greet session with the Felda Lasa community in Sungai Siput, Perak.
Detik tumpuan seluruh negara. Percaturan politik meraih demokrasi. Kepercayaan rakyat milik siapa? Pilihan Muktamad Malaysia dalam mandat rakyat PRU 15. Komprehensif dan terkini hanya di TV3.
On early voting day, 24 army personnel in Rembau, Negeri Sembilan got on a military truck just after midday and headed to a polling centre. But luck wasn't on their side to cast their ballots as the vehicle lost control and overturned at Jalan Cengkau Pilin at 12:15 p.m. Rumbau District Police Chief DSP Hazri Muhammad said one of them sustained serious injuries while 4 others suffered moderate injuries and the rest with light injuries. All of them, aged between 24 and 30, were sent to the Rumbau Hospital. The victims were from the 11th Regiment Royal Armoured Corps of the Syed Sirajuddin camp in Gemas. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act 1987. Except for that accident, the voting process went on smoothly nationwide for not only military personnel but also for police personnel, including for their spouses. And that's because of the systematic management at all 578 polling stations, which opened at 8 a.m. This also includes the presence of health officers and the strict Standard Operating Procedures (SOP) for COVID-19 positive voters to reduce the risk of the spread of the infection. COVID-19 positive voters will be separated from the others when they come to cast their ballots in the GE15. Election Commission Deputy Chairman Dr. Azmi Sharum said the voting process for them would also be done as quickly as possible.
You have to report to the Kementerian Kesihatan people, and mereka akan asingkan you, and you can undi quickly, and we try to separate you from the pengundi lain. That's the only way to do it lah.
A day earlier, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah told Nightline COVID-19 positive individuals voters need not stand in queue and voting centres to cast their ballots.
Detik tumpuan seluruh negara. Percaturan politik meraih demokrasi. Kepercayaan rakyat milik siapa? Pilihan Muktamad Malaysia dalam mandat rakyat PRU 15. Komprehensif dan terkini hanya di TV3.
With multiple programs for the Prime Minister from Perak to Sabah, and this in the heart of the federal capital. It was at the Titi Wangsa parliamentary constituency that Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri met with the various communities. His message to them was choose the party which prioritises the people's interests. The PM said the people had enough of the 22-month rule by Pakatan Harapan PH where promises were made which could not be fulfilled. He said only BN had a track record of delivering what it promised. The Titi Wangsa constituency sees a four-cornered fight where BN's Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani is attempting to wrest the seat from PH. Others in the race are Perikatan Nasional and Pejuang. Having been born in Titi Wangsa and gone to school in the area, the former second finance minister said he wanted to continue serving the local community. Still to come, Joko Widodo opens G20 summit with a call for end of war. Stay with us. To the foreign front, Indonesian President Joko Widodo opened the G20 summit in Bali on Tuesday with a call for the world to end the war and bridge wide differences amid rifts over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He stressed that the war has to be stopped as it has fueled geopolitical tension and caused a global surge in food and energy prices.
paradigm of collaboration is badly needed to save the world. We all have responsibility, not only for our people, but also for the people of the world. Being responsible here also means that we must end the war. If the war does not end, it will be difficult for the world to move forward.
Eyeing a joint G20 declaration that could condemn Russia's 8-month-old invasion and threats to use nuclear weapons, the United States and European officials painted the summit in Bali as evidence of Russia's deepening isolation. Indonesia, however, pursues a neutral foreign policy and rebuffed Western pressure to disinvite Moscow ahead of the meeting. Russia is being represented by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, with President Vladimir Putin shunning the gathering. The G20 groups together 19 countries and the European Union representing the world's 20 largest economies, which account for more than 80% of the world's gross domestic product, GDP, and 60% of its population.
Meanwhile, Rishi Sunak has urged Russia to get out of Ukraine as he condemned its barbaric invasion at the G20 summit of world leaders. The British Prime Minister made the comments in the first session on Tuesday as he criticised the absence of the Russian president at the talks. Speaking at a closed-door session for world leaders, the 42-year-old blamed the conflict in Ukraine for worsening economic conditions globally. He said Russia's weaponization of energy and food exports was harming the world's poorest, accusing Moscow of undermining fundamental principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity. Sunak has also pledged that the UK would back Ukraine for as long as it takes.
In another development, Japan's economy has unexpectedly shrunk for the first time in 4 quarters as the yen's tumble to decade lows further inflated soaring import and living costs. According to official data, gross domestic product fell an annualized 1.2% in July to September, compared with the economy's median estimate for a 1.1% expansion and a revised 4.6% rise in the second quarter. It translated into a quarterly decline of 0.3% versus a forecast of 0.3% growth. The data also showed that the country's imports by far outpaced exports in the recording period, with imports leaping 5.2% compared to exports rising 1.9%. Japan has also been dealing with the challenge of the yen's slide to 32-year lows against the dollar, which has magnified cost of living strains by further lifting the price of everything from fuel to food items. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has launched a probe into the killing of a Palestinian-American reporter, Shireen Abu Akleh, who was shot while covering an Israeli raid in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin in May. Israel, however, stated it will not cooperate with an external investigation, adding that the decision taken by the U.S. Justice Department to conduct an investigation into the passing of Shireen Abu Akleh is a serious mistake. Meanwhile, Abu Akleh's family praised the U.S. decision to open a probe into the death, saying they believe Abu Akleh was killed deliberately by Israeli forces. They have also rejected Israeli statements that there were militants around when she was standing during the shooting. The scope of the investigation, as well as what consequences could ensue, remain unclear, as the FBI has declined to comment further. JDT takes 1-goal lead into second leg. Actions from the Malaysia Cup when we come back. 2022 Malaysia Cup, Johor Darul Takzim JDT moved a step closer for a spot in the final after claiming a 1-0 win over Sabah in the first leg of their semi-final clash on Tuesday night. The only goal of the match came in the 34th minute when Muhammad Arif Aiman's deflected shot found the bottom corner of the net. JDT had a chance to double the lead in the 58th minute, but Bergson da Silva's penalty was saved by Sabah's keeper Damien Lim. Both sides will meet again on Sunday at the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium for their second leg clash.
Ada sentuhan yang dilakukan oleh Robinson Basul. Benson diselamatkan oleh David Lim.
So Wai Ching made Malaysia proud again as he overcame adversity to emerge victorious at the inaugural Stair Climbing World Championships at the Dubai Holding Sky Run. So set a new course record of 6 hours and 52 minutes en route to the win at the 311-metre high Jumeirah Emirates Tower. The former mark of 6 hours 55 minutes was set by Poland's Piotr Labodzinski in 2019. Japan's Ryoji Watanabe finished second, while Italy's Fabio Ruga was third. So has been in fine form, and his win in Dubai was his 12th victory on the trot. After this breather, pistol, live ammo and drugs seized in Kota Baru raid. Welcome back. In Kuala Lumpur, 2 individuals pleaded not guilty to 3 charges each of making fraudulent claims amounted to 1.2 million ringgit relating to a shopping mall development project in Kuala Terengganu between 2020 and 2022.
43-year-old Muhammad Azhari Che Omar pleaded not guilty to 3 charges of cheating Pelaburan Hartanah Berhad PHB when the charges were read to him before Sessions Court Judge Rosina Ayub. The other individual, 46-year-old Rosliza La, was charged with 3 counts of abetting Azhari. She pleaded not guilty before Sessions Court Judge Azura Alwi. The charges under the Penal Code carries a maximum jail term of 10 years and whipping and fine if convicted. The court set a bail of 150,000 ringgit to Azhari and 50,000 ringgit for Rosliza with 1 surety and set December 16th and January 5th for mention.
In Kelantan, police arrested a married couple and seized a pistol, 50 rounds of ammunition, 1 shell casing and yaba shabu pills in a raid on a boarding house in Kampung Kubang Taman on Monday. According to State Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Zaki, besides the husband and wife aged 32 and 29 respectively, 2 Thai men in their 30s were also detained. Investigations at the house led to the discovery of 132 pills suspected to be yaba, a plastic packet of crystal lumps suspected to be shabu and 45 bullets. Police also found a handgun with 5 bullets and 1 bullet casing in the house. The seized drugs worth more than 10,000 ringgit. It was believed that the 32-year-old suspect was the mastermind in the group with 3 drug-related criminal records. The probe is being conducted under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, the Firearms Increased Penalties Act 1971 and the Firearms Act 1960. In Terengganu, a woman was killed after the vehicle she was driving crashed into a lorry and a car at kilometre 74.5 Kuala Terengganu, Kuantan early Tuesday. In the 8:50 a.m. incident, 31-year-old Safitri Mulyana Muhammed died at the scene due to severe injuries. Dungun District Police Chief Superintendent Baharudin Abdullah said the accident took place when the victim, who was driving from Kuala Abang heading to Bandar Bukit Besi, lost control of her car and entered the opposite direction. Her car then crashed into a lorry and collided with another car. The lorry driver and the driver of the other car escaped unhurt. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act 1987. In Selangor, the Ampang Jaya Municipal Council, or MPAJ, is conducting a probe on the cause of the landslide which occurred at Taman Halaman in Ampang early Tuesday. Initial inspection and action were carried out by MPAJ and the Hulu Langat District and Land Office by placing plastic canvas to close the affected hill slope.
Selangor Fire and Rescue Department Director Norazam Khamis said the pre-dawn landslide had caused part of the back wall of a 5-story bungalow to collapse. In the 2:30 a.m. incident, a family of 3 managed to flee unhurt. The trio were 39-year-old Ahmad Moha Khamis, his wife Nur Shazila Aziz, 39 years old, and 11-year-old son Akmal Ahmad Moha. Norazam said following an emergency call at 2:30 a.m., a 7-member team was deployed to the location. He also said firemen at the scene investigated all floors and rooms in the bungalow to ensure all occupants were evacuated. Ampang Jaya Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Farouk Eshak said the incident was believed to have occurred due to mudslide following a heavy downpour. Farouk said that police have assigned a mobile police van at the landslide location to monitor the scene after the victims have moved to another house.
Now, Qatar has added yet another world-breaking record by revealing the biggest football boot at Qatar Cultural Village, where hundreds of people stood to witness the unveiling of the artwork. This adds to the growing attractions in the country as Qatar is set to host the World Cup from November 20th. Let's take a look at the world's largest football boot as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Muhammed. I'm Hamdan. Thank you for watching and stay safe.